Today, we're stepping onto a truly legendary battlefield. Not really to watch the armies clash, but to zoom right in on a moment of, well, profound personal inquiry. And it's drawn from some ancient Sanskrit texts.
Yeah, our sources for this deep dive are direct excerpts from what we're calling Arjuna's battlefield inquiry, specifically just two concise verses.
Very concise, but packed with meaning.
Exactly. These aren't just lines of poetry, are they? They're more like windows into the mind of this warrior, right at a critical point. So our mission today is to really unpack what Arjuna is asking for here, just before this massive conflict breaks out. And what do these requests actually tell us about his immediate priorities and maybe the deeper stakes involved?
Yeah, the underlying issues. All right, so here's a question to start us off, something for you to think about. Why, when you're facing down an entire army, does Arjuna specifically ask to see his opponents? I mean, what more is he hoping to learn just by looking at them beyond, who they are?
It's a great starting point. That visual confirmation seems crucial to him.
Okay, let's dive into verse 22 then. This is Arjuna's first request. The English meaning is, let me see those who have assembled here, eager to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great battle.
So, on the surface, seems pretty straightforward, right? Size up the enemy.
Standard military procedure, you might think.
Yeah. But there's this phrase in the original Sanskrit, ran samudhyame. It means something like this great battle or maybe even mighty undertaking. What's the significance of him framing his request using that kind of language, that monumental scope?
Well, that's what's so fascinating, isn't it? That phrase, Rasa Mudyame, it really sets the stage immediately. It doesn't just imply a big fight. It suggests something colossal. Oh, just an existential undertaking.
Existential, wow. Yeah. And Arjuna's specific request for direct personal observation, the Sanskrit word is nirikan, it suggests he needs more than just, say, a scout's report or a head count.
Okay.
He seems to need to personally gauge their eagerness to fight, see it in their eyes, maybe.
So it's more psychological.
Exactly. It feels like a psychological need, maybe even a prelude to understanding the sort of spiritual weight of what's coming. It's not just tactics.
Right. Not just counting heads, as you said, but feeling the pulse of the opposition. That makes sense. And then things get even sharper, don't they, in verse 23?
A definite shift in focus.
Yeah. The English meaning here is, I wish to observe those who've gathered here to please the evil-minded son of Duryodhana, and who are ready to fight on his behalf. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yes.
He's not just seeing who is there anymore. He wants to know why they're there, and crucially, for whom they're fighting. And the mention of Duryodhana, and specifically calling him evil-minded, that's pretty striking language.
Yeah, it really is.
For those maybe less familiar with the whole epic, could you just quickly sketch out who Duryodhana is, and what does this specificity really reveal about Arjuna's mindset here?
Absolutely. So Duryodhana is the eldest son of the blind king Hariblo, and in the epic, he's seen as evil-minded. The Sanskrit is Duryodhana primarily because of his greed, his sense of injustice, his refusal to give the Pandavas their due share, which is what directly caused this war.
Okay, so he's the main antagonist, essentially.
Pretty much, yes. And if we connect this specific request to the bigger picture, Arjuna isn't just identifying individuals anymore. He's not just cataloging opponents. He's actively trying to understand their core allegiances and perhaps the moral compass, or lack thereof, of the side they've chosen to represent. By specifically naming Duryodhana and calling out his character evil-minded, Arjuna is trying to grasp the motivation binding this army together. They're there, according to Arjuna's observation, to please this particular individual.
To please him, that's key.
Yes. And that raises a huge question for Arjuna and for us. What does it tell you about the nature of a conflict when one side is fundamentally motivated by serving someone characterized in this way?
That's a powerful point. It shifts it from a political or territorial dispute to something more fundamental.
Exactly. A moral dimension comes sharply into focus.
So let's bring this back to you, the listener. What does all this mean for you? Maybe you're prepping for a big presentation or trying to get up to speed on a complex issue or just navigating a tricky situation. It's one thing to identify who's involved, right? But how does going deeper, really understanding why they're there, who or what they're representing, who they're acting for, how does that change your perspective, your approach? Doing this deep dive here, right on the brink of battle. It seems to offer a really timeless lesson about observation, doesn't it?
It really does. It underscores that critical observation, true seeing, goes way beyond just the surface level. Just like Arjuna wasn't satisfied with the numbers, he wanted to understand the driving force behind the other side.
Right.
True understanding so often lies in figuring out those deeper allegiances, the underlying motivations, not just the stuff that's easy to see.
Yeah, not just the who, but the why and the for whom.
Precisely.
So, summing up our exploration of Arjuna's battle-sealed inquiry,
Yeah.
his request, it wasn't just about identifying opponents on a list. It was really about understanding their loyalties, their motivations, and ultimately the moral landscape of the whole conflict viewed through the lens of who they chose to serve.
Which leads us to perhaps a final thought for you to consider. In any significant challenge you face or any new situation you step into, ask yourself, do you truly see the people involved, or do you just sort of identify them, label them? What deeper insights could you gain by actively seeking to understand the why behind their presence, the core beliefs or maybe the figures they're aligned with? Much like Arjuna tried to grasp why those soldiers were fighting for the evil-minded Duryodhana.
That pursuit of understanding beyond the obvious.
Yes, it can really fundamentally shape how you respond, how you act, your entire strategy, actually.
A really powerful takeaway. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Arjuna's pivotal moment of inquiry. We hope you carry this idea of profound observation forward into whatever challenges you face.